monarch butterfly is one of nature's most magnificent masterpieces. Instantly recognized by its vibrant orange wings, laced with deep black veins and fringed with delicate white spots. And weighing less than a single paperclip, these fragile insects perform one of the most epic multi-generational migrations on Earth, traveling up to 3,000 miles across North America. Welcome back to the art room. I'm really glad you could make it today. And as you might have guessed, today we'll be drawing an amazing monarch butterfly portrait, complete with some Japanese calligraphy. So get out your watercolors and let's get creative. Okay, welcome back to the art room for our lesson about monarch butterflies. Oh, this is going to be such a good one. And if you like this sort of thing, this is actually our third lesson that we've done with Japanese calligraphy and a Sumi brush, going back to our first one with the koi fish picture and then the Japanese crane that we just did a few episodes ago. So anyway, here we go with a piece of 9 by 12 watercolor paper, and just so I don't have any problems with curling or anything, I'm going to tape it down to my trusty board here, and just two sides would be good enough. Let me tuck that under there. Okay, so to help you draw this butterfly, what we'll do first is divide our paper into a 4.5 inch segment on each side with a line. That's 4.5 inches. I just scribed a line. This is a piece of white copy machine paper that I folded in half the long way. So this is what I used to do back in the art room to help students do things that were symmetrical. So we'll start with a sketch here, and then you notice the folded side is on my left there, and we'll go around, and it kind of resembles a shark fin, don't you think? And we'll sketch a lower wing on our butterfly, and then do a line cutting up like that. That looks pretty good. All right, let's grab our scissors and let's see if we can cut out our butterfly stencil. Here's what we've made, and see if that's going to work for us. All right, open it up. Hey, perfect. That looks good. Yeah. So now we'll grab grab our pencil rather, and a ruler, and kind of gauging to see if I have those wings going straight across. Sometimes it's hard to tell. So with a light pencil line, then I'm going to go around the edge of my pattern here that we've made, and let's set that aside and see how we did. All right, sweet, that looks good. So let's do a little preliminary drawing to help us out as we get ready for our watercolor paints. I'll make a little spot there, and then right there on his wing I'll scribe a line between that indentation of the two wings, and now suddenly we have 4 wings there that we can use. We'll do a little olive-shaped body there. And remember, once again, I'm doing this at 8x speed, so stop it sometimes and take your breath. And we'll put a little head there too, just kind of a placeholder, and then some little placeholder antennae there. We'll be changing those later on. All right, I'm going to cut off a strip of paper that's about 3/4 of an inch wide, because we want to do some calligraphy here after a bit. And I want some spaces for it, and I want my spaces to kind of make sense in the drawing. So you'll notice I'm cutting that space into 4 sections. Same thing on the top. And so, hey, our drawing's starting to take shape. So we've got something that is going to work for our lettering, our calligraphy. And then that round bit that I just put in on the far right, that's going to be for our chop. And we'll talk about the chop, the signature, in a minute. Okay, well, time to get our palette ready for some watercolor. I'm going to put some water down on top of that wing there. You notice it's getting all shiny there from the water. And get it nice and wet. Let's get into some orange and stir that around. Oh, I think orange is my favorite color. I don't know what it is about that orange. It just gives me goosebumps putting it on like that. It's great. Oh, and it really sets the mood for our monarch. And just stir that around, let that go for a minute, let that bleed in. Let's get into some red. Everything's still real wet here, so this is the part that I enjoy about watercolors, when it's all runny and it's all kind of gorgeously melting into the nearby color. And I'm just trying to kind of enhance that blending effect with my my Sumi brush. Love the Sumi brush. If you don't have one, get one. They're great and they're not expensive or anything. Pick one up. It's just really a fun way to paint. All right, so I'm going to pause here just briefly while I let that set before we lay down some water on the two bottom wings. I didn't want them to run together, so I just stopped there for a moment. Let's wet our wings down here on the bottom. And after that, I'm going to go into my orange again and just that's great. Oh, it just feels so good to let that that beautiful orange blend around. And same thing I did on the top. I'm going to put some red in there and let that melt together. And have fun with this part. This is the fun part that you don't really have to plan too much. We're going to get a little persnickety here in a minute with our lines, but this is kind of the easy part, and I think the part I like the best, this beginning part here. So I've let my sketch dry up for a minute, and watercolor's all dry. Come back with my pencil. We'll put some more antenna in there. I keep drawing antenna in there for some reason. Excuse me. Let's go up on this top of the wing and kind of expand that band on top of the wing there. And then here's a little close-up of me drawing these areas that will become black in a few moments. It's a very definite Monarch pattern that all Monarchs have. Looking into it, they all have the same pattern with just a few little variables. So we really have to copy this and make it look kind of correctly Monarch, if you will. So starting off with my black watercolor paint on my brush, I'm just going to fill in that area that I expanded the wing on top of what we just did a few moments ago. It's always hard for me to paint this direction because I'm right-handed. I don't know, it feels weird pulling back that direction. So for me, the hardest part of being taped down on a board is that I can't spin my paper around the way I like to, turn my paper from different angles. But hey, it's all worth it. So going around, I like that little variation in the brush. Did you see that? Wiggle your brush back and forth as you go. It's kind of fun. Test it out on a scrap sheet first if you want to. Make sure you can do it right. But you can always change it later. But here I am on this side again, wiggling that paintbrush and trying to give my butterfly wing kind of a nice variation in the edge there. So with this black on top of our wash, we're really starting to pick up our first kind of feeling of Monarch butterfly here, and it's really starting to come through. Okay, switching over to my fine line brush, what I want to do is make kind of a segment here. These are the supporting structures that are in a butterfly wing, and it's important that you do them the way I'm doing them, or it won't look like a butterfly wing. So that's why I'm trying to break this down into these little tasks that you can use and do just one step at a time, because the whole wing is really kind of daunting. If you just look at it from far off, it's like, oh, that's so complicated, I'll never be able to paint that. But you can. Stick with us here, we will. And believe me, I make plenty of mistakes on mine too, so I'll show you how to correct yours. It's a part of the art thing, readjusting and rethinking it and trying to improve. And those three lines that are on top of the butterfly wings, they weren't right, and you copied them and I did them, and I'll show you what I did to kind of work on mine in a second. But anyway, here I am. I'm just following along what I'm doing here. I'm making some of these black lines on top of our wash. I'm going to close these in with, I think I'm kind of look like little rounded off shapes here on the end. And then filling that bit in. my camera angle is really picking up the wetness of the black paint, so it's got that like really weird shiny look here for a minute. So that'll dull down in a bit though. Just going around, and you'll notice I'm painting a little point there on the end of those lines, kind of an inset. And that's kind of an important part of giving it that Monarch look. And I'm isolating this stuff here too. So thinking through this, yeah, it's not quite the same, but don't worry, we'll address that problem later on. And if yours doesn't look exactly like mine and you're happy with it, then you can stick with it. So the bottom part of the wing, I was a little unsure, so I did a pencil line there first. And here I am lining in some of these big pointy shapes. Just make them one at a time. Whatever you do on one side, flip over, do on the other side. That's just the key of, the symmetry of the wing. And take your time with this. Go slow if you need to. Stop when you need to. And hey, that's really beginning to start looking like a monarch there. And we're filling in down here across the bottom. Oh, that's great. And there I am with that wiggly paintbrush effect again. Got to try that. Hey, that's why you're here. Try that wiggly paintbrush thing. It's great. So, yeah, really starting to look like a butterfly. And the body's kind of weird because it has this kind of insect thing going on. Not my favorite part. I don't really like the insect part of the butterfly that much. And I know somebody that doesn't either in our family. They think it looks like a spider or a bug or something. So do your best with that part. Just filling that part in. And yeah, and it's all glossy looking and looking very, very monarchy at this point. Filling in some of these black spots. Okay, so I'm getting out my colored pencils here now. I love this part. Wow, I love working with colored pencils on top of watercolor paper. Some people might not think that's purist, but hey, I'm not a purist, so anyhow, with a red colored pencil, and you'll notice I untaped it from our board. Now I can finally start to spin around the drawing as I love to do, and I'm adding some red colored pencil, some black colored pencil, carefully shading around those open shapes that we made, going on the inside of the line and on the outside of the line too. Trying to blend. And here I am with the red, and back to the black. Got my pencil turned on its side a few times here. And adding some red, adding some black, going back and forth. Ooh, that looks lovely there with the red on the outside part of the wing. And okay, now I've got some orange, and I'm kind of punching up that orange a little bit, making it a little bit deeper, but it's still mostly our watercolor that's showing through, wouldn't you say? I would say so. And back with my red here, redding things up a lot. And let's go to the bottom part of the wing. Same thing going on the inside and the outside of the individual shapes, taking my time and trying to give them some depth and some shading. Really, really beautiful. I think this part is just the part where the whole thing comes together, and suddenly you really start enjoying how much like a real butterfly this thing is looking. And yellow colored pencil, I'm punching up that yellow a little bit, and that I like what happened there with the yellow too. Wasn't quite yellow enough. Notice those little dots that we put on the wings. Those are a part you need to put in. That's kind of one of the key characters of the butterfly wing, the monarch wing. And excuse me, going around with the black. All right, so now I knocked that little spot out. I don't know if you noticed that. The place that's still wet, it was a part that was bugging me. And don't worry about it on yours, but I had the symmetry of the wing wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. So I'm going to correct that. And back with my red colored pencil again, working in some more red. Great. Okay, so now with my kneaded rubber eraser, I'm going to knock down a little bit of that orange. So, into my white acrylic paint, this part you'll get a kick out of. First I'm going to recreate, there we go. Finally I've got symmetry on those little three shapes on top. So I hope you did what you needed to do on yours too, or maybe nothing. I'm going to paint some of these little dots that wound up looking like eyeballs on my little butterfly there. And I'm doing white dots in symmetry, so that means whatever I do on one side, I do backwards on the other side. And yeah, trade back and forth. And it might be something that you have to do 2 times. This is white acrylic paint, and sometimes black watercolor is a little bit hard to cover. So back and forth with these dots I'm going. It's just, that really is the part that just is screaming Monarch butterfly here. And some little reflective spots on the body. It's kind of a shiny little butterfly body. We're not going to leave it like that. We're going to go over it in a minute though. And some of these dots, once again, going across, going around, 2 rows of them across the bottom of the wing. And some little bands on his body, little reflective spots. Okay. All right, well, let's switch over, and now I'm going to redefine some of those white spots that are a little bit bigger and make them a little bit more opaque, because this next part, after I gave it a second to dry, I'm going to work some orange watercolor on top of some of those white bits that I just put in. And oh, that's great. Back with my black colored pencil at the end to redefine some of these areas and draw circles around some of these little blobby things that I put down. And let's work on that body a little bit. Okay, and we're kind of redefining the body part, erasing here and there. And I'm going to go back in. Those 3 little shapes that I put on top of the wings need a little attention, so let's shade those in a little bit with your colored pencil, if you can. Then there's that one little bit. I'm just going to obliterate that right there with my black colored pencil there. Great, great way to work black colored pencil on top of watercolor, or any colored pencil. All right, here's the magic moment. I've got some graphite on the end of my finger, just pencil lead, and what I'm doing is taking my finger and rubbing it into that in these shadowy shapes. You don't have to use too much. Go around the bottom. Amazing, isn't it? And if you cut the line with your kneaded rubber eraser, you can actually make a really neat kind of specific shadow. And it really, really does look for all the world like that butterfly is sitting on a table or something now. Okay, you ready to tackle some Japanese calligraphy? Well, here we go. And this really does mean beautiful butterfly flying high. That's the translation. So the first part of it here, since we've got these 4 boxes, I'm trying to lay in these marks here, these Japanese calligraphy marks. It's kind of the cursive of Japanese. Okay, so think of it kind of like that. You know, and if you were writing in cursive, everybody's handwriting looks a little different in cursive, but you can always read what it is. So, hey, don't worry, have fun with this part and try to copy each character in each individual box. And I'm down to the 3rd box here, and I'm copying this thing as I go. And I've got one more box underneath that. And this is kind of a complicated one here, so I'm going to take my time, and I'm kind of thinking about like what stroke to use where and how to best show it with my paintbrush. Trying to flip my brush up, kind of Sumi brush style, so your lines just don't look like straight lines, but they have kind of a point to them and a, and a gracefulness to them, if you can. So once again, we're writing beautiful butterfly flying high. So yeah, I'm just loving this part. I saw an old Japanese poster from way, way long ago that had this calligraphy going right down the center, and I thought it would be fun for us. Okay, and then down here on the bottom part, starting in with our calligraphy again, and I'm just following along this beautiful calligraphy style that we've got. This kind of a cursive, I suppose, Japanese cursive, copying these beautiful little characters one by one, trying to put a little flair into it with my brush as I go. And I've got to share with you a little story about this. So what I've done here is actually kind of done it wrong. It's not the way I wanted to show you, but let me finish this up, and then I'll tell you what happened. I went ahead and I did this third one here, realizing that I had run out of spaces. And so what I needed to do then, after I did this third one here that I'm working on right at this point, was and I just now caught it, you know, when I was watching the show back again. I needed to do the last one, the last part of the calligraphy. I wound up going up to the original box, the first box that I should have put that one in. So we'll get there just in a second here. So the next bit of calligraphy that I do is this sort of a backwards number, kind of a number 7, or like a backwards C shape that I'm putting in here. And that actually was supposed to be the last box, that one. But what I ended up doing was running it through Google Image Translate again, and it said the same thing. So there you go. It still says beautiful butterfly flying high. So have it as you will. So here I am adding some really kind of dainty antenna with a colored pencil. And I've had a few minutes to clean up my calligraphy down here. And it's just looking lovely. So this last bit I wanted to do, excuse me, I wanted to put my chop in here again. So I'm preparing that, and I'm going to get my markers out here and pick a nice red. That's kind of like the what you usually see a chop done. And I've had this chop now. I've done the same chop 3 times in a row, so I'm getting kind of good at it. It's my Mr.Shay chop that I invented, and I invite you to do your own chop. And that's the way you do it. If you were a Japanese artist, you'd have to make up your own chop design, and that's mine. So there we go in red marker. I'm going to kind of clean up a little bit, and it's time for my signature. So there we go with that. Oh, yes. I love that part. So let's step back and look at it. Oh, it turned out so good. I've really enjoyed this project with you. Thanks for hanging out with us here in Mr. Shay's art room. And so, before we go, we say what we always say: no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you've got something to be proud of. You're an artist. So stick with it, and we'll see you right back here next time in Mr. Shay's art room.